For those who are asking how they can watch this and other Maxicare Wellness Fridays videos, Maxicare will make it available only for those Maxicare members who registered for these events. The wellness team will be sending out a link to you. Do remember that these videos are the intellectual property of Maxicare or its affiliated partners, and as such, unauthorized copying, reproduction, republishing, uploading, posting, transmitting, or duplicating in whole or part of this video is strictly prohibited. Furthermore, this video is made available to Maxicare members only and offered strictly for educational and informational purposes. Now, we'd like to inform you that the videos that may be shown in this session were shot and recorded before the pandemic. Now, while we were already observing safety and hygienic practices during the time the videos were produced, note that the protocols then and now are not the same. Now, if you like today's event, you can share your thoughts and experiences after this event through your social media accounts using the hashtag #LiveYourBestLife and Maxicare Wellness Fridays. And don't forget to tag Maxicare using the social media handles. On FB, it's at Maxicare Healthcare Corp. On IG, it's at Maxicare Healthcare. They also have their health and wellness IG at Maxicare Health and Wellness. And you may also subscribe to their YouTube channel because they have a lot of great content there. And it's at Maxicare Healthcare Corporation. Well, welcome to Maxi Life Wellness Fridays featuring Empowering the Mind. Take back control over your stress and anxiety during this pandemic. Again, I'm Patricia Bermudez-Hizon, your host for this event. Today's session is just as important as talking about physical wellness. This session will help you see that you have the power in shifting from a stressed and anxious state into a more calm, clear, and balanced one. We will listen in on a flowing conversation around what triggers our mental, emotional imbalances and how we can sail through these with more ease. Our speakers will be sharing techniques that you can use, such as meditation and tapping, as well as simple life hacks that can point you to the right direction to strengthen your mental, emotional well-being. Well, now it's time to meet our speakers. Our first speaker is a member of the IMDHA, or the International Medical Dental Hypnotherapy Association, a member of the IACT, or the International Association for Counselors and Therapists, and was certified by the INN, or Institution for Integrative Nutrition. Let us welcome Ms. Saps Uttam. And here is also our second speaker, who is a meditation and radiant energy coach. She is a longtime wellness advocate that believes in mindful living and sustainability. She's also an entrepreneur, creative force, and visual artist as one of the top commercial photographers in the country. Here she is, Miss Sara Black. Hi, ladies.
Hello, thank you for the very warm welcome. We're so excited to be here with everyone. Hi, Saps.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. How's everyone feeling? How's everyone doing?
I'm sure everybody's excited for us to dive into our session today. And as Pat mentioned, both Saps and I will be teaching you or sharing with you some of the practices that we do. And I'm actually so happy how you responded to our poll question, that self-care, adopting a self-care practice was pretty high on your list. So I think let's dive straight into that here. So as introduced, I am a meditation coach, and I'd like to guide everybody through a short 6 to 7 minute meditation just to get us off on the right foot. So I'm going to ask those of you who are wanting to participate to take your seat on a chair, take a long, tall spine. Avoid resting your back on the backrest of your chair. This is so that your life force energy can move more fluidly through your spine. Also, it gives your lungs the opportunity to be in a more open space. So if we're sitting with our back curved, then our breathing is very much inhibited because of that. So let's get straight into it here. Go ahead and close your eyes. And I want you to invite yourself to start connecting to your breath. Inhaling and exhaling through the nose with the mouth closed. You're gonna do nothing for the next few minutes but to rain complete, absolute focus on the way that you breathe. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the nose. Just take a few moments here to observe the quality of your breath. Notice if it's shallow or fast, or you have an easy time deepening the breath. Whatever it is, just observe. Good. You'll notice that the deeper you go in your observation, the breath is actually slowing down quite naturally. Your body is seeking a deep sense of rest. Allow your breath to bring you there. Take a few more natural cycles of breath here, going deeper and deeper with every inhalation and exhalation. I want you to start becoming aware of the present moment, anchoring yourself on the air coming through the nose, down the throat, into the lungs. Keeping your awareness on the air, leaving the body same way it came, through the throat and out the nose. No past, no future, just here and now. Leave all your thoughts of the past behind. Keep focusing on the breath. Leave all projections of the future at the door. Keep focusing on here and now. Nowhere else you need to be. The peace, the calm that you're seeking cannot exist in the past. You cannot project it into the future. It can only happen here and now. Stay with the breath. Allow that to anchor you. While you are creating this deep connection to your breath, come into complete acceptance of this moment. No struggle, no wanting to be anywhere else but here. See if you can access a deep sense of gratitude for every breath that you take. Every inhale and exhale, miracle. Your life being sustained by each inhale and exhale. Completely accept this moment here and now. Staying with the breath. And you might find, even as you are grounding through the breath, that external thoughts tend to come and go. There's no need to struggle against those thoughts. We're severely conditioned to think tens of thousands of thoughts a day. What is essential in this moment is that you allow the thoughts to come and you allow them to go. Allow your thoughts to become a stream in your consciousness. See if you can practice non-attachment to the thoughts coming in and out of your mind. Resist the urge to label them. Always coming back to your breath to keep you here in the present moment. No labeling of thoughts, no judgment. Just come into a deeper sense of being here using the breath. And if you can find yourself in that space where you're in the flow, not attaching to anything coming into your mind, see if you can slide into pure awareness, non-judgmental observation. In this moment, there's nothing wrong. Every moment so perfectly orchestrated for us. And we are here today gathered to find that deeper sense of calm and peace. Spend a few more moments just in silent observation, finding a deep, deep sense of rest here. Stay with the silence a little bit more. Staying with your breath. Each breath full of gratefulness, wonder, enjoy your last few moments here. Slowly start to bring back awareness, giving thanks for those few moments of rest. Whenever you're ready to come into the space, slowly blink open your eyes. Beautiful.
Thank you, Sara. That was amazing.
You're
good way to
welcome.
start this webinar. Hope everyone had a wonderful time as well. I had tears because it's so nice to it's just so nice to center yourself, and thank you for that, Sara.
Yeah, I can sense that there's a lot of movement happening around us constantly, and if we just take the time to just come into silence, there's different as was mentioned earlier, I'm a meditation coach, and there's so many different techniques that we can use to come into that centered space. But really, it's a matter of us taking the time to do it. We can read a lot of books or listen to a lot of webinars or research online, but the actual practice, the self-care practice, the daily practice is what's going to keep us grounded. But Saps, I want to talk a little bit about our journey over the last year. It's been 1 year anniversary of the pandemic.
1 year. So much has happened in the year. Growth, a lot of self-reflection, a lot of really, holding the space for a lot of people. That's what we do, you and I, and a lot of people do that as well. I think in this 1 year, it was very, we were pulled in all sorts of directions, especially you and me. And you know what, it was so, I loved every second of it, especially with Maxicare. They put us on a lot of webinars, right, for a year, and it's continuing so. But when people engage with us, when people write us back and then they say like how it's benefited them, it's like it makes everything worth it. But also really focusing on our own practice for ourselves, making sure that we're not spent, we're not tired, we're not depleted, because when we fill our own cups, we can then help other people that need us. So what have you discovered in that 1 year about yourself, Sara?
Yeah, I agree. I've grown a lot, certainly a lot of expansion and being able to hold space for other people. But for me, just really observing, I'm actually pretty proud about how, our community in the Philippines has been able to deal with all the challenges that have been looming around us the last year. If you compare, not to compare, but just as a benchmark, it may have been easier for us because we weren't fluctuating as much, let's say, as other countries who were on lockdown, then not lockdown, then lockdown and not lockdown. I think that is potentially a more stressful situation because you don't know what's coming. And I can see people, Filipinos are so resilient, we're highly adaptable. And after a year, we're just like, you know what, we're here. And we're just gonna make the best of it. However, I have noticed, like in the last week, I don't know if you caught this too, that a lot of the behavior that was happening at the top of pandemic, like the behavior in terms of fear, anxiety, and worry, was beginning to surface again in the last couple of weeks. I don't know because it's up to the 1 year anniversary, or also it could be, there's new data coming in about the rising cases. So I just wanted to bring our attention to, we've already made so much progress in terms of, um, for instance, verifying information. At the top of the pandemic, we didn't really have any facts at all. And anything that got sent to our Viber group or WhatsApp group, we immediately believed. And of course, it made us nuts. Like, it completely sent our mind into hyperdrive. And then throughout the year, as it progressed, we were really so much better at filtering. Okay, that's fake news. I don't want to believe that. I'm going to go and check it out. But I can see, although we're doing much better now, I can see that some of that behavior has resurfaced in the last week or so. So we really have to be on the ball about this. The best way for us to empower our mind is to check our mind. Like, what are we letting in into the mind that really can affect us on an emotional level? Because one misplaced message can make somebody feel super stressed and anxious, right? Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, you're right about these Viber messages. After a while, you're just like not focusing on it anymore. Just like, yeah, next to, on to the next. Like, even Facebook, a lot of information. I think we need to discern.
Yeah.
I think initially, let's be kind to ourselves. So when we were last year, imagine, let's go back a little bit last year, when we were getting all these messages, we didn't know what was happening. So we were just like, what's happening? Like, we were all in the dark, kept in the dark. So it will take a while for it to sink in. And once it starts to sink in, we need to use discernment. Is it true? How is this going to affect me? What am I going to do? Something productive. So everyone has a way to cope. It's just the way that we need to go back and ask ourselves what matters right now. So initially everyone had fear and anxiety, obviously, because people are worried about the future. So again, quickly, what is anxiety? Anxiety is future based. What's going to happen tomorrow? Am I going to get sick? Do I have a job? All these valid questions about our survival. If we bring it back down, understand it is really about our survival. And when our survival gets rocked, so to speak, then we will be where we were last year. And honestly, where we were last year it wasn't right. It wasn't wrong. It's something that we needed to do. So if there was stress coming up, there was anxiety, of course, we're human. What I think Sara and I want to remind you guys is, we're all human. Cut yourself some slack. Be kind to yourself. Like, if you're still bothered by text, if you're still bothered by news, it's okay. You're not going to get it immediately, but be kind to yourself and don't berate yourself. Don't be like, I'm not supposed to do this, or this is what they said, or whatever. Go with the flow. Go with how you're feeling. But the most important thing is, ask yourself, where is this stemming from? Where is this fear stemming from? Where is this anxiety stemming from? And you're the only one that can really help yourself, right? So we had our own fears as well. We had our own anxiety as well, because in my practice as a therapist, I was so worried about my clients and their mental health. And it was so funny because some of my clients were so happy that we were locked down, because then they didn't have to, compete with other people. That's, their issue. So they were like, I'm at peace. And I'm like, wow. So everyone was responding differently. So, for us, like Sara and I, we're friends. So we took a second, like when this happened, we were like, okay, what's happening to us? What are we feeling? And then within 2 weeks, we went to work. Sara and I launched a podcast, which we're going to show you later on, because we wanted to go out there and really hold the space for you guys. So now this webinar is more about, let's check in with you. How are you feeling? It's already 1 year. We've been in this situation for a year? What has shifted? Where can we help you? Today's webinar is more about how can we be of service to you? How can we help you? Is there anything that you want clarity on or clarifications on? So again, quickly, just to recap, anxiety is future-based. Now, if I ask you this, Sara, do you know what's going to happen tomorrow?
I have no idea. Life is full of uncertainty.
Yes, it is uncertain, but when we want to change or control the future, that's when we are not at peace with ourselves. That's when we are in a state of constant stress. And is it wrong to feel that way? You know, for everyone listening to us? No, because that's how the mind works. The mind wants to know because it wants to keep you safe. Okay? So the mind wants to do two things for you. Well, it does a lot of things, but it wants to do two primordial things for you. Number one, it wants to predict so that it can keep you safe. Nothing wrong with that, right? But when we hear a lot of negative stuff, if we hear a lot of news, then the prediction's not going to be accurate. Then that's when we go into a state of fear. Okay? So being very mindful of exactly what you said, where we get our information from, and, you know, using discernment. And when somebody texts you something, read, try to think. Maybe we don't forward it to other people, because when we forward, then we become a part of that.
Fear.
I don't want to say, I don't want to say anything other than fear mongering. But again, understand there is no right way or wrong way to do anything. We are learning. So please be kind to yourselves. We are learning how to do this. No one has, you know, the right formula. I mean, it is what it is. But the most important thing is understand what's coming up. Don't shoo your feelings. Don't be like, no, I'm not supposed to feel that way, because that's when you get into trouble. Let everything come up to the surface. Let all your emotions come up to the surface. Be understanding of why this is coming up. Don't be so quick to dismiss something, because when you dismiss it, it's not going to go away. It's going to come back and bother you again. So let it come up. And then this is where practice is essential. So meditation, yoga, this is even journaling. You know, when you journal, you'll be amazed at what's going to come out. You think like your issue is this much. And as you journal, it's like, whoa, I didn't know that I was holding on to all of this. And that's good. Let it out. Let it out. You don't have to show your journal to anybody. Now, if you don't want to journal, but if you're in a state of anger, you're in a state of fear or something, I suggest, this is something that I do, something that I've taught a lot of my clients. Write it in a piece of paper, like a bond paper. Write everything that you feel. And you know what? Burn it. Be very mindful, though, of where you're actually burning it, right? Burn it because you want that emotion to come out. You want all those feelings to come out, because better out than in. You know, because all these emotions play with our minds. So again, journaling is important. Having a practice such as meditation. I personally love the art of gratitude. So my mantra in my head is always thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. When you're in a state of having a mantra, whatever mantra you want, the brain actually calms itself down. You notice that? It calms itself down because you're constantly trying to make it shifting into positive. So that, you know, even if like a thought comes in, like a negative thought, you're centering yourself, and you're just like, there's a mantra going on in your head. So it's like, oh, okay, I'm going to come back later. She's busy right now. So these are few tips that I can share. And what about you? What have you been doing? I mean,
I was
tips
just
for yourself.
listening in into and tuning into what you were saying. And I really love how a variety of concepts came up in your tips. And, you know, what I wanted to point out is that there's such an intrinsic connection between our thoughts, the quality of our thoughts. That's one. The second is how our thoughts interact with our emotions, because, like, as we said earlier, once you get some piece of information, it can trigger you into a certain emotional state. And then that emotional state, third, leads you into a specific type of behavior. So let's say there was some bad news that you received that is pandemic related. And then it makes you feel uncertain for the future. It might be economic, financial, it might be a social, relationship thing. It might be anything that has to do with the emotions. It affects the way that we behave. So we can then become depressed because of the news that we found out, or we can become fearful or anxious. So two things we need to be able to prevent, like as you said, nip the thought in the bud, go to the very start. What are the things that I can curate, filter in my mind, so that I don't get to that state of the behavior that I don't want to be in? And then the second is, we're not perfect. We need to be kind to ourselves, and negative thoughts are going to slip into our consciousness. But the process of catching it and then saying that I'm going to let this go, that's as equally as powerful. So the practices that you mentioned, journaling, talking to a loved one. I mean, I think not everybody is really so comfortable sharing, pouring their heart out. So journaling could be such a powerful exercise for you to just gain clarity and release some of that pent up emotions that we're feeling. And as you said, it's always better out than in. What happens is we end up keeping the stress for so long, that it boils sometimes up into a physical manifestation of disease.
Absolutely.
Talked about this a lot in the podcast, and if you guys wanted to tune into it, we'll be sharing where how to find the podcast later. But when we hold on to stress, anxiety, fear, worry, it manifests in the body, and then we start finding ourselves with different sorts of illnesses, which will only aggravate our stress and anxiety some more. So we need to be so mindful about prevention and that continuous cycle of just releasing and letting go and coming back into that state of calm over and over again. And one of my personal favorite practices, which I've been teaching throughout the years, not just guiding people through meditation, but just to breathe. Like so powerful. Like, okay, every time you inhale, like inhale new positive. Every time you exhale, release old negative toxic energy. And even if you didn't have a solid technique, if you just took 3 to 5 minutes of your day every day to do this on a conscious level, then you can find yourself releasing those pent up emotions. It's just another technique, just like journaling, just releasing on the breath and just surrendering everything that you want to like give over, can be so powerful with every exhale. So, we don't need a whole lot of, it really depends where we're at, but we don't need all this like technical stuff. It's just as simple as mentally telling yourself, you know what, this is stressing me out. I'm going to let it go. I can't do anything about it right now. I'm going to come into a deep state of acceptance. I'm going to shift my awareness into a positive value like gratitude, becoming more aware about all the love that I'm already current and support I'm already currently feeling, instead of focusing on, it's so interesting because human beings are so wired to look at like, if there's a white piece of paper and there's like a black spot, we're all looking at like, oh my God, there's a black spot of dirt there. But instead of looking at, but there's a whole piece of white paper that, looks pure and, is completely perfect. So we need to really start rewiring our mind and retraining our mind and shifting our awareness, shifting our gaze to what's more uplifting than what can potentially bring us down into more stress. So it's not easy. It really is not.
No, it's not. But you know what? I just want to inform everyone what breath means. Breath is life. And if we don't eat for a while, we'll be hungry. We might even be hangry, but we'll be okay. If we don't have water, we'll be okay. But if we don't have breath, we're not gonna make it. So be very mindful of what you're breathing, because this is life. So when Sara guides you and take in that breath, the reason being is take in life. Take in life. Life is beautiful. life was never meant to be easy, because how are we going to learn if everything is easy? Life can be all sorts of things, but life is, for me, again, life is very beautiful. And this is a chance for us to learn and to better ourselves. But one thing I wanted to clarify on is, we judge ourselves too much, and we often, the way we speak to ourselves, it's not very healthy. We're so quick to give a compliment. Oh my God, Sara, you're radiant. You're so beautiful. You're really a good friend. Da, 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 everything. But when somebody says something about us, we're like, no, this is not true. Da, da, da. Why are we like that? We judge ourselves. In turn, we judge other people. But first, we have to start with, why are we judging ourselves? Why? Because we don't feel whole. We don't feel complete. We don't love ourselves. As cliche as it sounds, I bet you've heard this a gazillion times, especially in this pandemic. When we love ourselves, we're not going to put ourselves in situations where we will be running on stressors the whole time. When we love ourselves, we are going to adapt a practice, whatever practice you want, whatever. It doesn't matter. When we don't love ourselves, we don't really honor the soul that lives within. Now, that's a little deep, right? But that's really what it is. Let's start with, in this 1 year, one thing I've learned, as a therapist, I hear everyone's stories. Take yourself out of the story. It's not about you. Learn to listen and have compassion. Have compassion, because we as human beings are going through a lot in life, and it's very easy for us to just say, oh, but you have it easy. Why is it like that? No. If we don't have anything good to say, let's not say anything. And also, even a simple, I am here for you. I may not know what you're going through, but I'm here for you to hold the space for you. It's something that I feel personally a lot of people are learning, and I'm very proud of everyone. They're learning it. And, again, when I speak one-on-one with my clients and then we bring up the topic of love, they cry because they're just running. It's like a battery, like that ever ready, Energizer bunny. You're going on the go, on the go, on the go. Let's stop. Let's pause. We talked about emotions. Understand that we are an emotional being going through this journey called life. Emotional being. We are a being that's full of emotions. And yes, Sara, you brought this up and you said something that it stays in the body. Yes, true. That's why we have disease. Disease is dis-ease, when we're not at ease with something. And it stays in the body. And we eat a certain way because of the stress, because of the emotions, because of whatever it is that we're going through. So again, before we even get to a solution, wherever you are right now and whatever it is that you're doing, ask yourself, am I doing that to myself? Am I hampering myself? Am I guilty of not being good to me, to myself, not being kind? Because it starts with us. It starts with how our mind is. And we have two things. We have a brain and we have a mind. And the mind listens, the brain, the body, everything listens to what the mind says. And if we practice something like really starting with us, changing our ways, or catching something like, oh, you know what? I said something negative, catching and saying, wait. Let's shift that. Let's shift that narrative in our mind. It's a good place to start. I know you're not going to get it all done immediately, but start somewhere. And again, start with what feels right for you. But if you start, my suggestion is start with kindness and compassion. Start with loving yourself. and see how everything else will just snowball. It's going to be this beautiful shift that it's about time. It's about time we shift.
I really love how you put so much attention on the kindness and compassion. I think it's really relevant because especially when you're dealing with stress and anxiety, people are kind of looking for a medical kind of solution or like a magic bullet, like give me a pill to take and let all my stress, or give me something to do and let all my stress come away. But the kindness and compassion, you have to be able to exercise it within yourself. So you might not be able to see the connection straight away. It might be like you're going through a window to get into the house instead of going through the front door. But I think it's so important to bring to our audience awareness, to everyone's awareness, that the way that you feel, your well-being, it's so integrated, body, mind, spirit. And coming from this other angle of trying to cultivate more kindness and compassion in your life, it really is more of the spiritual dimension of well-being, and which we fail to bring attention to. So thank you, Saps, for bringing that to our attention. There's so much for us to talk about. It's actually just getting meaty at this point, but Saps and I put together a little deck to kind of just summarize some of the concepts that we are talking about right now into like 5 simple life hacks, so that you can anchor yourself on something and hopefully take away some ideas that can help sustain you when you're really trying to embody this calm that we're talking about. So yes, let's dive into our deck here. So our first tip is address your stress on a physical level. Saps is actually a nutritionist, so she has a lot to tell us about what food we can eat to be able to lessen our stress on a physical level. What are some of your tips, Saps?
Okay, so shall we go there?
A little bit. We don't have that much time, but
okay, so quickly, disclosure, Sara and I are plant-based. Okay, now this is not to say that we want you to be plant-based, nothing like that, but at least we want you to hydrate. Please hydrate. The body runs on water. Like 75 to 80% of our body is made of water. We don't hydrate enough. We drink a lot of sugary stuff. We eat a lot of sugary stuff. So be very, very mindful of how much water you're putting in. Move your body, of course, because, I'll give you an example. Look at a dog. When a dog or any animal is stressed, or they go through something, or in the wild, when they run, when a deer feels like it's being attacked, after a while, it shakes itself off, right? Because one thing with human beings is we don't move enough. So the stress that we've felt is in the body. So we need to, like cats, when they wake up in the morning, they stretch. Dogs stretch. Everyone stretches. Human beings don't stretch. The first thing we do when we wake up is our cell phone. So immediately you are on your adrenals. You're burning your adrenals down because you haven't even said good morning, Sara. You don't even say good morning to yourself. You're like, oh my God, I have 20 emails that I need to focus on. No, put your phone away. Leave that. Say good morning. Say a prayer. Tap yourself, and say good morning to yourself at least, right? And then also water. First thing in the morning, please have water. Like, don't have coffee. You can have your coffee later on. Have water, have juices, any juice you want, anything that, you fancy. Do you want spinach? You want, alugbati, whatever, put it all in a blender, have fun, put a piece of fruit, drink that, eat more vegetables. Again, Sara and I are not saying plant-based or anything, but at least bring in more gulay into your life. Just bring in more veggies, see how you feel. You will be your best doctor. You will see how you feel. Are you radiant? Are you sleeping better? Are you going to the bathroom more often? Start with that. Start with small things that you can shift. And then the more fruits you eat, the more you're not going to have the palate for junk. So these are my small tips. I don't, otherwise, if you really allow me, I will probably give
Go
more,
forever and ever
but
on this topic. But I think it's just, we just need to use common sense, less processed, more whole food, less lessen your activity at night so that you can sleep better. So I'm sure Maxicare will be providing us with a lot more webinars that can help us address these physical stressors. But let's move on to our next life hack. So our next life hack is really guarding the content of your mind. So we talked about this a little bit at the top of our convo, and really making us realize that our thoughts, emotions, and our behavior are all connected. And once we're able to nip those thoughts in the bud, then necessarily our emotions and our behavior will flow better. So don't be afraid to curate. If there's negative people around you, you can mute them for a little while. That's okay. But you are the only one who will be responsible for the content in your mind. And if you don't learn to edit, then it's going to be full of noise. So slowly filter. There's nothing wrong. Nothing wrong with that. So anything else you want to add, Saps, with regard to guarding the content of your mind?
It starts with a thought. You're right. It starts with a thought. And when we don't process our emotions very well, so I'll give you an example here. We start with a negative thought, and then we don't talk about our emotions. We don't talk about the fact that we have pain, we have stressors, because we don't want to burden other people with our stories or our narratives. So what do? We keep it inside, and then we start snapping at the people around us. So be very mindful of your thoughts. Don't allow it to become an emotion, is what I'm saying, because an emotion is when we suppress everything. So as much as possible, let it out. Talk to someone that you can talk to, or if you can, even journal, so that you're mindful of your emotions, and then it doesn't become a behavior which is detrimental to yourself and to others. That's the reason why we've noticed that a lot of people explode. So when somebody is screaming at you or somebody is upset, it's not about you. Understand that. They have a lot, it's all about them. But they have suppressed their emotions, that unwillingly you've become that person that they vent out to. Okay? So this is something, again, we're not going to be, it's not going to shift immediately, but we can be like, okay, be very mindful of our emotions so it doesn't become a behavior. But a behavior that we want is a positive behavior. Of course, everyone aspires to have a positive behavior, but of course, now you understand it starts with a thought and then thus an emotion. So better that, so it doesn't pile up. Start analyzing where it is before you go to sleep. Once you go to sleep, it becomes that, it goes into your subconscious mind, and then it becomes a behavior. Nobody wants to be screaming at anybody. That's not who we are as human beings. We just don't want to snap at people, but we snap when we have had enough. When we are hurting, we start to become this different person. So be very mindful, because we're not little kids anymore. We don't want to be hurting other people, and much less we don't want to hurt ourselves.
Yeah, so I wanted also to shift our awareness. Let's go to the next slide now. We are talking a lot about mindfulness. And if you were able to pay a little bit of attention to the guided meditation that I led you through earlier, maybe you're just so relaxed that the words slipped by you. But the act of coming into more mindfulness, as you were talking about, it's really I think this is a very good infographic for us to arrive at more understanding of what that really means and how it makes us come into more psychological flexibility. So one is to come into contact with the present moment. So the breath is one of the easiest things for us to come into the moment with. It's one of the easiest tools. Just breathe in and out and focus on what's happening right now. And when you're in that flow of like, I'm right here, right now, I'm not thinking about the past, I'm not thinking about the future, the next step would be to just come into full acceptance of where you're at. Whether you might be feeling low that day, accept it. You might be feeling ecstatic that day, accept that too, and not try to hinge yourself based on what you're feeling, but just come into that deep sense of acceptance. And then as you go deeper and you're being able to become more mindful of the thoughts in your mind, you can just see the thoughts as thoughts, not assign a positive or a negative value, because we have lots of thoughts. Like, even me now, I've been meditating every day for over 5 years. Sometimes I'll randomly think of toilet paper, like in the middle of my meditation, but then I'm not attaching any significance to it. I can practice that level of non-attachment and like, okay, that's just a thought, and I can park it to the side, and I can bring my awareness to what I want to focus on, the values that I think that will support me more, like what you were talking about, kindness, gratitude, compassion. So you can see how this infographic is so helpful, because the hexagon just ping pongs from one point to the other. And then at the end of the day is when you're able to come into those deep levels of silence, you can come into that space of non-judgment. How you were talking about earlier, Saps, that we're so quick to judge ourselves. And that really starts with, because we're so quick to judge the thoughts in our mind. But if we can become fully present and just accept, okay, I had that thought, it's not relevant, I can park it to the side, I can focus my awareness on the values that I want to embody, I want to imbibe, then we start to act according to those values. So yeah, I'll invite you to take a photo of that infographic so you can digest it more later on. It's very fascinating for us to be able to see the connection between the way that we process our thoughts, emotions, and our behavior, and how our values actually help support that whole process, that daily process that we go through every day. Should we move on to the next slide? Yes. So, this is also a favorite, spending time in reflection, contemplation, stillness, and silence. So Holy Week is coming up. It's a good time, don't you agree, Saps?
Oh yes, I one thing I picked up from you last year is, I think you turn off your phone Saturdays or Fridays, something like that. Saturdays you're in silence, and then you answer messages, I think, the next day. You'll be proud of me. I did that for 4 or 5 days.
Hey.
When I wasn't feeling too well, I was like, I can't hear noise. I just wanted to be more in tune with my body and how I was feeling. And I wanted to honor that my body was releasing things that it didn't want to hold on to. My body just wanted to rest and repair. So I felt like I needed to just not answer anyone. I just wanted to just be in the moment of how I was feeling. I was going through so many things, and I was like, okay, what is my body trying to tell me? Now, if you're constantly around your gadgets, you're around your phone, you're around communication, you're either going to listen to that or you're going to listen to your body. Most of the time, we never listen to our body. So the one thing that I've done over the year is I'm not like Sara that will just turn off the phone on Saturday. I'm still not there. But I've noticed on Sundays, I try to be more quiet because I want to be in the now. As Eckhart Tolle says, be in the now. The power is where you are right now. And I want to be centered. I want to be aligned. I want to understand where I'm at, where I'm going. And in order for me to, really be more mindful, I need to be quiet. I really need to be quiet. And it's so amazing to just be quiet, like nobody bothering you. You're like, okay, great. And for the many people that will ask me that, so what do we say to ourselves? Nothing. You don't need to speak. You don't need to say anything to yourself. You can just be in a place of, how do you need to be better today? What do you need to do? Like Saps. Okay. How are you going to shift into becoming a better individual? How are you going to shift into becoming a better human being? Let's practice listening. The one thing that we lack in this world is we don't listen. We want to talk on top of each other. And we're not digesting and processing what people are saying. Why? Because it's too noisy. So again, maybe practice, don't like, okay, if you can't do 24 hours, let's start with 12 hours. Let's start with a couple of hours and then see where you go, so that we don't react immediately when we're triggered. We're quiet because we've practiced the art of silence. So we use this and we're quiet. It's like, okay, what is this person trying to tell me? Because we go on in life, right? We go into the real world and we will be triggered. But when we practice being silent, we can actually hear what they're not telling us.
I'm a big believer in silence, and I think you encapsulated everything I wanted to say. But let's move on to our last life.
But thank you for teaching me that.
happy to help you. This is actually one of my favorite hacks, is just connecting with yourself and others, and it's so important for us to develop that openness to other people and allow them to receive us. We don't have to hold our burdens on our own. There will be somebody there if you're willing to be open and share where you're at. Somebody will hold you, but we have to be willing to be vulnerable. You have a lot of experience with this, Saps, because you're a therapist, so you're constantly holding space for other people. How can you round out this tip for our audience today?
The common question everyone asks me is, are you not tired listening to people rant and keep talking about their issues and all that? And I thought about it. No, I don't get tired. I mean, I'm physically tired because obviously I have to use my voice. But you know what? It was never about me. It was always about them. So whatever it is that I have to say, I just listen, especially in therapy. You just listen, holding the space. Don't make it about you. It was never about you. That's when we get into a little bit of a problem, when we make it about us. Like, for example, somebody's telling us a situation, okay? They're telling us, you know what? I went through this, this is what I went through. I had an issue, blah, 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 blah. And it may be similar to what we went through before. So we don't listen. So what we do is, oh my God, yes, guess what? I went through the same thing. And it's like we're competing with each other's journey in life, and don't do that. Be a support system, because the one time that a person wants to talk, you're not allowing them to speak. So they go back into their shell because they're like, the one time that I tried, it didn't work. And if you are that person that, is listening to someone, don't make it about you. It's always about them. It's their journey. It's their issue. It's their journey. Make it about them. Just be, okay, I'm here for you. I'm just here for you. So we create support systems so that way but here's the most important thing that I'm going to say. If you don't have the mental capacity or the emotional space to listen to somebody, don't. Focus on you first. Focus on your own mental health first. You can't be there for somebody when you yourself are breaking. So before somebody asks you for something, ask yourself, do I have the mental and emotional space for this? And please don't be afraid to say no. Because we live in a culture, in a society where we always want to say yes. If you feel you can, great. If you cannot, tell them in a very nice way. I'm sure you can think of something, but focus on you first. Now, as a therapist, I do have the emotional space for this, and the mental capacity for this. But when I'm not feeling well, then I don't see anyone, because I don't want to give myself to somebody when I'm not feeling well. So again, to round it off, if you have the mental capacity and the emotional space for this, listen. If you don't be afraid to say no.
actually brings us to the next portion of our talk, because we have a lot of questions coming in through the Q&A. So time to hold space for people's questions. Yeah, we'd like to open the floor for, I can see some questions coming in here, or there were some in the chat.
Woo, yeah, there's a lot.
Into the
Have a
Q&A.
lot, and we tried our best, Sarah and Saps, to group them together,
Yeah.
because I feel that this audience that we have here from Maxicare are really so engaged. So we wanted to thank you also, because this is really a wonderful discussion that you guys had. So thank you for allowing us to listen in. Now I'll just read to you some of the questions, and I tried to group them as best as I could. One question, or one set of questions, is really about relationships. The first question here: how do you find the not reacting but responding approach in controlling our fear, stress, and eventually controlling oneself? How does that apply? But I'm trying to connect that also, the reacting but not responding, to this question, where someone is asking how you actually draw the line between kindness and compassion and toxic people. So I'm just guessing that there's a lot of commonalities with those.
Okay, let me answer that. Kindness and compassion. Love does not exist without compassion. Anything that you do, start with yourself. So if you're kind to yourself and you have compassion for yourself, you're not going to want to put yourself around toxic people. Again, when there are toxic people, if we have kindness, we don't judge them. And the one thing important is we take a step back. We don't judge them. However, we say to ourselves, this is not about us, this is about them, and they are kind of at war with themselves, like they are going through something. Again, don't make it about you, because as human beings, we are so quick to say, oh my God, this person didn't answer me. Did I do something? No, they're going through their own process. And if you have compassion and love for yourself, you're not going to want to put yourself in that situation because you want to take care of yourself. So, but what we can do as compassionate people, we can just send a message, I hope you're well, and leave it at that. We don't have to rescue people. It is not our job to do so.
I think
Make sense?
I'm totally hearing you, Saps. I think a lot of Filipinos have difficulty setting healthy boundaries. They're very like, they want to be able to accommodate everyone, let everyone into your space. But the compassion that that Saps is talking about really has to start from within. And if you can't exercise that to yourself, then you can't give it out. You can't serve it to other people. So, but of course, easier said than done. It's something that, expands with every time you practice it. So there's ways to set healthy boundaries without being offensive. You don't have to be like, you're toxic, goodbye. You can just be like, I don't have the space for this now. If there's another way I can help you, and I will help you that way. Which relates to the first part of the question about being reactive and responsive. See, this is why the practice of silence is so important. You have to be able to put a gap between your reaction and the trigger. So let's say there's a specific person, a toxic person that's triggering you, and they say something that is not that is making you feel bad. You have to be able to put distance between you and that person so that you can properly evaluate. Are they saying that to spite me? Are they saying that because that's the truth? Are they saying that because they're angry at someone else and they're hurling their anger at me? And when you have that space, because you've developed a certain level of being able to be in silence, then you can discern properly what is the motivation of this person. And when you can see what the motivation is, and maybe they're just really angry because someone else is angry at them, then the compassion can start to rise in that situation. You can say that actually they're not angry at me and they're not trying to mess my day up. They're just having a bad day, and you can hold more space for them that way. But then we normally can't see that because we are so reactive. When somebody is angry at us, we become angry at the next person. The next person becomes angry to that person because we don't have space in our mind. So it's so important to be able to cultivate that spaciousness, the lessen the clutter, lessen the noise, so that our reactiveness, once a trigger comes, transforms into responsiveness. What is the correct way to respond to the situation? Because sometimes when somebody is throwing something bad at you, the appropriate response might actually be to help them snap out of it, is, react also with a strong fist. Sometimes that's what the person needs in that moment. Or sometimes what they need is more kindness. But you can't evaluate properly if you're always constantly triggered. So it's a long process, but the first really step is to just become more aware, more aware of exactly what's going on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that person that asked that question, who shares also that she's coming from a space where she feels a lot of toxic energy from friends who complain about their own worries. That's great. But let me bring it closer to home, as we have a couple of questions here, one coming from Sheila and then from Nori. Sheila's asking, she's working from home. She's thankful that the lockdown has given her a chance to spend more time with her mom for this past year. But she has been seeing that this person, the mother who she loves, has been changing into a negative person. But she doesn't want to discuss this because obviously it'll bother the mother. Now she's always just yelling and snapping at everyone. How do you help a loved one like that snap out of it? And also at the same time, as you help someone, another question here is, how do you actually communicate your own anxiety to your loved ones?
Okay. The first question, we don't change anyone. That's the first rule. We don't change anyone that doesn't want to change. But understand that if the mother is snapping and if the mother is freaking out about small things or whatever it is, the mother has a lot of fear. So let's give them a little bit of compassion, because it's very easy for us to say, Mom, don't have any fear. I'm here. We're going to do this together. It's easier said than done. But the fear is trapped in the mind. And no matter what we do, what we say, it's not going to go away unless the mother acknowledges that there's fear and talks about her own fear. As a child, what you can do is just keep, maybe, number one, praying for her. Number two, when she's in a state of, because they're elder, so let's give them, a lot of respect, so when she's done with that, don't feel like it's about you again. It's her own issues. Let it come out, allow it to come out, but just stand there. Don't absorb it. Stand there, let those issues out. Why? Again, better out than in. And when she's done, the best way to show compassion is to not say anything, but just give her a hug. Why? She's human. She's human. Stressors are there. Pain, what your mom is going through, whoever asked that question, Sheila, I believe, right? Pain. She has pain. And let us now downplay anyone's pain. Don't say that it's going to be better because she doesn't believe it. The more that you allow a person to release, and the more that you hold the space for them without any judgment, but just pure love because this is your mom. But understanding that she's going through something right now and she isn't really aware of it. Hold the space for her and be the human that you need to be. We all are human, don't forget that. We're never going to be perfect. So allow her to be a human being. Allow her to release her emotions. Allow her to just release her pain. Pain/suffering. Exactly. Hugs do wonder because it's our way of saying, I hear you without saying words. It's a way of saying, I acknowledge you. I see you, I feel you, I hear you. The problem is when we're going to start saying things to people, then it's like, again, then she's going to feel like, oh, so you don't feel that whatever I'm going through is of value or something. Then you get into a heated conversation with somebody. Prepare, guys, if you're going to talk to somebody that's going through this, it's going to be you versus them. It's never going to end. to understand that right now, humanity, the entire world, we don't even know how to react anymore because this is unfathomable. But what we can do is, when you're done, can I hug you? Can I hold your hand? Just be a human being and don't say anything at all. That's my advice.
That's beautiful. And I guess the second part of that question of Sarah, if you want to jump in, because that was really beautiful and that resonated to me, Saps. I think that hit me hard right here. But what about your own anxiety? How do you communicate that with loved ones? I find it sometimes a little bit more difficult to share with those who are closest to us. I don't know if there's something there that you can help.
There's no really easy way to build better communication but to dive in and do it. And if we're not willing to be vulnerable in front of those that we love, then who else is going to hold us? So, it might, let's say you're having a difficult time communicating with someone, you might, even if you live in the same house, you might send a text first. If you can't say it face to face, you might write them a love letter, and say, this is what I'm feeling. You might write the letter and then read it to them. But the important thing is to start the communication so that you can heal together. If nobody can read anyone's mind, and if you don't start expressing how you're really feeling, the anxious thoughts, the worries, the fears, how are they gonna know? They're not gonna know. So we have to be willing to take that step, and it's not gonna be easy, but we'll definitely find ourselves in a better situation if we start opening communication, healthy communication with our loved ones, especially the ones that we're cohabiting with.
Now, let me bring it to a lighter note just for now, because I see Lori's comment here that she agrees 100% with plant-based fruits and vegetables and moving the body. So that was a comment for you, Sara. Here's a comment now for Saps. Unfortunately, it's from an anonymous attendee, but we all probably share the same sentiment. Thank you for this statement. Took note of it. We honor the soul that lives in us. Love yourself. And this person acknowledges that he loves or she loves herself. But speaking of loving herself, a lot of people here want to adapt things that they can do to probably express that love even more. Like, for one, what physical exercise do you want to perform, or Edgar wants to know what he can perform to be able to relieve stress, the stresses of life? And also another person is asking if it's okay to use or rely on the healing powers of essential oils in mind, body, and spirit. A lot of these things that people want to also learn so that they can do it in their lives.
And, the first thing sorry, go ahead. I thought it was for me, that's why.
It's actually right up your alley with all the essential. I'll just be really quick with this. There's no right or wrong way. You find the correct way to connect with your body. Some people respond to essential oils. Some people like doing HIIT workouts, something that's 20 minutes, high intensity. It fills them with endorphins. They feel good after. They can interact with the people at home better because they're feeling good. Some people like me like to do yoga. We like to do the long drawn out, the whole hour, just centering on ourselves. But there's no right or wrong way. You have to find your way and you stick to it with regularity. It's not rocket science. But tune in to your needs, and it might change on a week-to-week basis, might change on a month-to-month, day-to-day basis. But keep connecting to your inner self. Will tell you what you need, but you gotta listen.
I would say dancing. Hey, it's about time that we dance. I mean, all my life I danced. And again, as I say, even animals, when they really stretch, we release a lot of tension in the body. I'm one person that maybe since I was young, I've danced. So I love dancing. You can do yoga. You can do anything you want. But here's the thing. It's not about what we're saying. What feels right to you? If it's going to a badminton court and just like hitting, balls, or tennis or anything, or boxing, ask yourself what feels right for you. The most important thing is that you move. So even if it's like a 20-minute workout wherein you're just doing sun salutation, you're just stretching. That's great enough until you build a practice that you want to for yourself. So I like yoga. I like anything. I don't like going to the gym. I find it like I can't I can't take that. So I love doing anything and everything with my own body. I tune into what my body is saying. I tune into how I feel. But anything that I do is always my body related. Like I want to use my own weight to move things around. So I like to do a little bit of Pilates and yoga. If and when I have time, but I have to make time. See, I have to make time for this. But dancing for me is everything.
Yeah, I like that you mentioned dancing, because even Maxicare, for their wellness programs for their members, do dancing also. So keep an ear out for those invites from Maxicare for that. But what about consistency? You mentioned a lot of great things that people can practice. And another question here is asking about how to maintain consistency in practicing wellness. They do yoga, they do daily meditation, but then when they feel tired and unmotivated, which is a common problem for us folks, those things don't matter anymore. How do you get over that hurdle?
I think okay, sorry, we keep jumping on each other. Go ahead.
This one, Saps.
When you're feeling unmotivated is when you need it the most. When you're going through something is when you need your practice the most. So if you don't feel like working out that day because you've had a very long day, at least you can give 20 minutes to yourself for, a guided meditation. At least 20 minutes of being silent somewhere and just really just honoring yourself and your thoughts and how you feel. And then, maybe it's that self-talk that you can give yourself, like, hey, come on, let's do this. Again, in time, you will learn. Don't rush anything, because we want it to be a practice. Again, this is not a competition for you or anyone. It's more of like having a practice for yourself. But for me, when I'm going through something, that's when I need to practice even more, because this is when I need to calm myself down and really think what's happening. I need to compartmentalize the day. I need to compartmentalize what's happening. So that's when I'm going to have more of a practice.
What I'm just gonna chime in here at the end and just tell you this: no one is coming to save you. No one. You have to be completely accountable to yourself. And if you can't hold yourself up every day, who is going to do it? So, like I said earlier, I've been meditating every day for over 5 years. That's every day, whether or not I felt sick or I was sick, or for whatever reason I was going through a rough spot. I sat myself down and I carved 20 minutes out for myself, because that's how I want to be. So when you can arrive at that space where you have decided, I want to be different and nobody else is going to get me there but me, then it becomes easier, and hold yourself accountable to that truth.
I love it. I'm going to read to you the last question, although we are bombarded with so many more, but we also want to get to the next part of the program. But this one is a question about sleep. Why is it that when we're about to sleep, that's the time when we get a lot of thoughts in our minds? And how do you fix that?
So our bodies are at rest. So there's more, the dynamism that happens is more in the mind, and that's completely normal. What I'll suggest to you for now, this is actually a very complicated topic. There's a variety of causes. Like it could be what you ate for dinner, what happened to you that day, some other stressors or triggers that have happened in the last week. But I'll invite you to start breathing deeply before you go to sleep. Deep inhale, deep exhale, and go as long as you can. So what happens to your body on a physical level is you're shifting from sympathetic nervous system to parasympathetic nervous system. And if you do this long enough, your body will relax. And you have something to anchor yourself on the breath rather than all the thoughts coming in. So that's a simple technique. But I did see that there is a Maxicare wellness Friday coming up with Dr. Sara, who's actually my cousin, who is a sleep expert. So mark your calendars and watch his talk, and he'll answer all your questions.
We'll share more on that later. But thanks, Sara, especially for that first part where you taught us how to actually meditate. But at this point, I know that Saps, you also want to be able to teach us something. Saps, if it's okay, can you lead us into tapping to get rid of our trapped stressors, which obviously affect sleep and so many other things? And I know that this is something that you want to gift gift to all of us.
Okay, so now this is something that, so just to give you guys a heads up quickly. So when you say tapping, we have our areas, okay? I'm not going to do that, especially in therapy. I don't like to touch anyone. And what I want to do is place your left hand or your right hand on your heart. And then the other hand where your pain is. Again, we're going to talk to the body here. We're going to release trapped emotions, trapped stress, trapped whatever we're feeling. So again, hand in the heart, the other hand wherever your pain is. Ask your body where it needs to go, where the hand needs to go in order for us to shift, in order for us to heal today, in order for us to release. Find a very comfortable spot. Just tune into whatever it is that I have to say. You can say it to yourself. Actually, I would like it if you can say to yourself. But just feel whatever it is that is going to come up for you. Allow your emotions. Allow your emotions to just come up. Whatever it is that's going to come up, just allow it. You feel like crying, you feel like doing anything, don't second guess. Just do it. Close your eyes. Take a lung-filled breath in from the nose and out from the nose. Again, in, lung-filled breath. Imagine your lungs just expanding and breathe it all out. 2 more times. Breathe in. Try to hold as much as you can and breathe out. Breathe in. Hold 1, 2, and breathe it out. Excuse me. Close your eyes. All the stress that I've been feeling, gently tap your heart, very, very gently. All the stress that I've been feeling as of late, all these emotions that's coming up. Breathe. All these stressors, all these hats that I need to wear, all these things that I need to do. I've been feeling a lot of stress lately. Sometimes I just don't know what to do anymore. Sometimes I just feel tired. I feel overwhelmed. I can't even eat properly. I can't even sleep properly. So many things in my mind. Fear, stress, anxiety. I just feel all of that. Sometimes I've been feeling triggered. I just don't know what's happening to me anymore. I just feel all these emotions. Breathe it out. The demands of my work, deadlines. And you know what? The things that I've been hearing about, I'm scared. I'm even scared to just go out. I'm scared to step out. I just don't know what to do anymore. I feel pain in my body. I can't think properly because I'm scared and I have fear. My fear is real. The stress is real. Anxiety is real. I feel it in my body. I feel it in my mind. Breathe. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. All these emotions, it's just coming up. I'm scared. I'm petrified. I don't know what to do. There's just too much of stress. I'm not even good to myself. I'm not even kind to myself. I don't even know how to show emotions. I've been mean to myself. I've been very hard to myself. I now know that's not the way to be, but I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry because I didn't know any better. I thought that was the way to be productive. I thought that was the way to accomplish something at the sake of my own health, my own mental health. I'm going to invite you to say this after me. Repeat. I, say your name. I'm so sorry, body. I'm so sorry, mind, for putting you through all that. I'm so sorry for all the stress that I've allowed you to absorb. I'm so sorry for not being nice to you, not being kind to you. I'm so sorry for not finding a way to release all of these pent-up emotions that I'm going through. Please forgive me for I didn't know any better. I didn't know what I needed to do. I thought it was okay. I thought that was the way it was supposed to be. I'm so sorry. Take this opportunity to really say and feel the sorry to yourself. I'm so sorry. Say your name. And then we say thank you to ourselves. Thank you. Say your name. For keeping it together. For holding the space for me. For loving me. For loving me. For not abandoning me. I'm healthy. My body has always been there to support me. But I was never listening to my body. I'm so sorry. Thank you, body. Thank you, mind, for giving me signals that I needed to shift. Thank you for taking care of me, for nourishing me, for being everything that I didn't know, but you were doing it. Thank you. Thank you for just keeping me safe. I didn't have a relationship with you before, but I want to cultivate a relationship with you, my mind, my body, my spirit. Say your name. I love you. Go inward and really feel the love that you have for yourself. I love you. I love you, body. You're me. You've done everything. I love you. Say your name. You're a child of God. You're this beautiful soul. You're just a beautiful being. And I invite you for a few seconds to really use your own words and say, what is it that you love about yourself? I'll give you 10 seconds to go inward. Practice this. What do you love about yourself? Say it to yourself. I love you. You can do hard things. I love you because you're a child of God. I love you because you are put here on earth for your purpose. I love you because you are you. I love you because you are everything I want you to be. Beautiful soul. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Place your hand, both hands on your heart. I love you and I honor you. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Patricia, are you there? You fell asleep?
Open my eyes. Thank you so much. That was really special. And I think what you just allowed us to go through already addressed so many of the unanswered questions. A lot of people are asking about how to win over anxiety, what to do, and all that. And I think that is a great practice for them. And I think that really addressed a lot of it. In fact, someone here is asking how they can watch more of your content. He said that this webinar is just great. I'm already a fan of both speakers. Where can we watch them in their podcast? So this is a great time for you to invite them as we flash on the screens the artwork of your podcast. Sara, you want to tell us more about that?
Yeah, so this is something that we came up with at the top of the lockdown last year. There's a series of episodes tackling different facets of well-being. It's actually an expansion of everything we talked about this year. So feel free to dive in. It's on Spotify. Listen at your own pace, listen and re-listen. And you'll be surprised how much more you can expand in what we talked about today.
Thank you so much. Well, we have time for parting messages. Let's start with Saps.
Okay. First of all, thank you for being here. Thank you for allowing us to be a part of your lunch break. Thank you for, thank you for everything that you do. Thank you to all our members of Maxicare. Thank you to the team, the wellness team. Thank you to you guys. Thank you so much. But I think I'm going to leave you with something, and be good, be kind. Everything starts with you. This journey of life isn't about the spouse that you married or the children or your friends. It's about you. This is your life. You owe it to yourself to live a good life. Let's start with the mind. The mind will tell us a lot of things, but use discernment to see if it's true or not. Again, the mind is there for you. It's going to predict to keep you safe. Again, it's going to keep you safe. So don't be at war with your mind. Listen to your body. And one more thing is that when you're feeling something, allow it to come up, allow it to surface. Allow it to surface. Don't suppress anything, because suppression leads to disease. We don't need to fear disease. We need to fear not having a relationship with ourselves. When we're good to ourselves, we are good to others. And for me, spirituality is the center of my being. I practice gratitude. I thank God for my life. I thank God for my purpose. I thank God for everything that I can do here on earth. My meditation is my mantra in my head of gratitude. Thank you, God, for everything. Thank you, God, for the blessings that I get. Thank you for allowing me to meet all of you, to touch your lives, to answer your question, to be there to hold the space for you guys. Thank you, because I wouldn't be anywhere else. And lastly, please, 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 if you can hold the space for others without hurting yourself, do so. The more that we shift and the more that we help, we can help. Help starts with us. Don't go immediately and help others. Start with us. Start with the soul that lives with ourselves. And then when we do that more and more and more, we can hold the space for others. And this is how we're going to make a difference in this world. Let's start with us, our friends, our family, and then hopefully the Philippines and hopefully the world. Don't think about that yet, and honor yourself. You're a beautiful soul. Don't ever forget that. Thank you for allowing us to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Saps. Even Anna, who said that this is a very enlightening session, is so grateful. Same with Edel, that he thinks he needs more of that self-affirmation, and he will do his best to practice this. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much.
Sara?
Yeah, I just want to chime in here with the gratitude. Thank you, each and every one of you for your presence. Thank you to the team behind this, Pat and the whole team working the back end. Yeah, we could not have done this without everybody's support. But I just wanted to end on something really simple. Let's stop identifying ourselves as stress and anxiety and really tune into our real essence. We are love, peace, and joy at all points in time, and no one can ever take that from us. So keep reining your awareness back um, on you as love, peace, and joy, and that will help you sail through any challenge, any weather, any situation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sarah and Saps. I wish we had more time, but that ends our session for today with still Lori saying that it's been such a wonderful time. Even Jacqueline saying that they're really appreciative of this, and so many other great comments coming from all of you. Again, thanks so much, Saps, and thanks so much, Sarah. To our attendees, thank you so much for participating in the Q&A and for being so engaged throughout this event, even now. Thank you to our Maxicare members. Now, can we please invite you to all take a few moments to answer a feedback form after this event? Now, here's a link that we're flashing on the screens right now, the QR code for it. Your feedback would be most appreciated. Thank you so much. That's why we came up with this wonderful event with Maxicare with Sara and Saps, because of your feedback. So please keep sending them over. Now, we will announce the winners of our raffle as promised earlier. The winners were randomly selected by our staff. And like we said, we will be giving away a portable yoga mat, which you will need, right? You also can get a J umbrella, or you can win a mini clutch bag. And the winners are, to be flashed on your screens right now, Zen Dimasakat of Malinana Microsourcing. Congratulations for winning that yoga mat. Precious de la Cruz, congratulations to you. And Roman Reyes, our third winner for our raffle today. Maxicare will get in touch with you in claiming your prizes. Congratulations once again. Now, before you go, two real quick poll questions. Of course, our first question is always an affirmation. Do you want to live your best life? Yes or oo naman? Diba we were practicing affirmation? Of course, this is something that you also need to repeat to yourself. Of course, you want to live your best life. This is why you spent your precious lunch break with all of us. So thanks in advance for answering this question. But this really also affirms that we're doing the right thing by giving you so much of these wonderful tidbits and knowledge. So our quick poll question will show the answer to all of you wanting to live the best life. And of course, it's resounding. Everyone wants to do just that. Here's our second question. Which topics would you like to see in our next Wellness Fridays? And for our next Wellness Fridays, you will, of course, be invited to that. But some topics that can be included in the next Wellness Fridays include preventing colon cancer, all about sleep, which is a huge part of the questions that were being asked earlier, how to bounce back in life, building a relationship amidst the pandemic, and how to prepare for disasters. I already know that all of you want to learn a lot about sleep. I mean, I do too. And it's something that I'm looking forward to. And I'll make an announcement later on, as what Sara has mentioned earlier. But of course, a lot of people want to really be part of these wonderful conversations that we could possibly set for all of you. And apart from all about sleep, people really want to be able to know how to bounce back in life. And resiliency and all of that is something that all Filipinos are really good at, but we all need to hear more about it. So thanks so much, everyone, for participating in our poll questions. Now, if you experience this event with us and you truly enjoyed it, please do share it on your social media using the hashtags Live Your Best Life and hashtag Maxicare Wellness Fridays. And you can tag Maxicare on Facebook at Maxicare Healthcare Corp, on their IG at Maxicare Healthcare, and at Maxicare Health and Wellness when sharing about your wonderful takeaways from this event on your IG as well. And please don't forget to subscribe to their YouTube channel. Maxicare Healthcare Corporation is the channel's name. Now, to learn more about Maxicare's products, please visit shop.maxicare.com.ph, or you can send them a message through their FB Messenger. Now, if you have questions about Maxicare's Wellness Fridays, please do send an email to maxicarewebinar@maxicare.com.ph. Now, here are the final announcements. We'll see you guys on our next Maxicare Wellness Fridays, which will be on March 26th at 5 p.m. That's when we get to talk about preventing colon cancer. What you need to know with Dr. Angelo Lozada. The QR code will be flashed on your screens right now. And of course, you can register early. You can register right after this event. And obviously, we'll already give you a heads up for our next event. Mark your calendars for April 16, also at 5 p.m. for our session on how to achieve better sleep during the pandemic with Dr. Michael Alexius Sarte. Now that ends our event for today. Thank you so much for being with us this afternoon. We hope you enjoyed and you were able to take away meaningful information. Thanks again, everyone. Have a great day. And we know that with Maxicare, healthy live.